Welcome to the Adapted Ambitions podcast. Here we rewrite the rules of success for professional women over 40. This is the place where experience meets reinvention and where we tackle bold career moves, inspiring pivots, and strategies to help you create a career and life that you truly love. My name is Ada Offonry. I am a talent leader and career coach with years of experience partnering with professionals at pivotal career crossroads. I've seen it all, from climbing the corporate ladder to leaping off it entirely, and I'm here to help you figure out your next big move. Because let's be honest, the so-called career rules we grew up with, they're really outdated. Your experience isn't just valuable, it's actually your superpower. So I'll show you exactly how to use the superpower to create your best chapter yet. Whether you're thinking about a career change, launching your own business, or you just want more purpose and balance in your work, you're in the right place. Welcome to Adapted Ambitions. Let's dive in. Welcome to today's podcast episode. We're going to be speaking about confidence after 40, how to embrace change without fear. And this is particularly important if you feel that you're living a life that is potentially outdated and you feel that you're wanting to do something completely different and drastic in your life, but you're really scared to make any sort of sudden changes to your life because of all that you've built up until this point. Speaking about a lack of confidence, or as is commonly spoken about, imposter syndrome at 40 sounds really ridiculous because particularly if we're speaking career-wise, a lot of the people, particularly women that I speak to, have been really crushing it for decades. They've built up significant success in their workplace. And so it's always a surprise to me when they feel that they're winging it and they'll suddenly be found out because they're frauds or whatever it might be. It always kind of surprises me because in front of me, I often think to myself, wow, what an accomplished, amazing person. But for some reason, a lot of these women don't see that. They feel that they're winging it. And so if you think that this is how a lot of people feel in careers that they're extremely competent in, imagine how they now feel when it comes to trying to make a career transition. They often talk themselves out of it because a lot of them are thinking that they have to go back to school, or they don't have the skill sets, or don't have the ability to be able to sort of make the sort of change that they desire. So I think it's important to sort of address the underlying lack of confidence, imposter syndrome, fear, concern that a lot of people face at this point in their lives. So let's look at imposter syndrome first of all. So it's a phrase developed in the 70s by psychologists Pauline Rose Clance and Susan Imes. And the concept basically said that despite a lot of people having outstanding academic and professional achievements, a lot of women experience this imposter phenomenon, imposter syndrome, because they believe that they're not really bright, they're not really sort of up for the work that they have, and they fooled anyone who thinks otherwise. There's a Harvard Business Review article called "Stop Telling Women They Have Imposter Syndrome," which really refutes this idea of imposter syndrome, particularly as being something that disproportionately impacts women rather than men. It loosely defined, imposter syndrome is doubting your abilities and feeling like a fraud. And it often affects really high achieving people, and it disproportionately impacts women. So the Harvard Business Review article challenges the notion of imposter syndrome disproportionately impacting women, because it basically says that in the workplace, because arguably the workplace typically favors men over women, and also typically doesn't favor Black women, other women of color. The feelings of bias and exclusion that these groups face exacerbate feelings of doubt. So what could be sort of a natural fear or concern or natural level of doubt tends to get exacerbated in situations where people are already deemed outside of the norm. Also, you find that in these professional environments, what is deemed professional tends to be quite culturally biased and really kind of skewed at a certain group of people. And so it means that if you fall outside of that, you could quite easily dip into the sort of umbrella of being unprofessional. The other thing that the Harvard Business article talks about is that having confidence doesn't necessarily make you competent. And so, people having doubts also inversely doesn't mean that they lack competence. And so the article goes on to say that the thing to actually fix is the bias that exists in the workplace, the toxic cultures that currently exist that value individualism and overwork. And the thing not to fix is women. And that if the workplace is really fixed to address some of these biases, then we could see less of the phenomenon of imposter syndrome, especially as it relates to women. So I think that when I go on to kind of talk about confidence and imposter syndrome, I do want to acknowledge that this school of thought exists and that this definitely has an impact on how people view their specific skill sets and therefore their ability to be able to sort of transition into the career and life that really kind of suits who they are. So let's look at some data. A UK survey found that 80% of women over 40 experience self-doubt when it comes to making career changes. In the US, studies showed that imposter syndrome peaks when women shift industries or roles. And I think it's natural that there is, some kind of a fear there because people are scared of failure. They're scared of leaving their comfort zones. They're scared of societal pressures. They're scared of giving up all of the stuff that they've built up in their careers to date to start afresh. And so, it's only natural that people kind of feel this way. So I think if you're in mid-career and you find yourself in a place where you want to change things around, but you're lacking in confidence, there are a few things that you can really do to try to build upon your confidence. The first thing I would say is to try to reframe your self-doubt. And a good way of doing this is to really ask yourself what you would say to a friend who is looking to make some of the changes that you were trying to make. And think about a supportive friend, by the way, because there might be that friend that has significantly more fears than you do and then projects them onto you. So you want to think of a supportive friend. And so if you think about what you would say to a friend, you probably would be very understanding, be very kind, point out all the amazing things they have, all the amazing attributes that they have, and try to come up with helpful suggestions of what they can do. And that's a really good thing to do for yourself. And actually, there's no point running away from the fact that there is risk involved with transitioning and making a move. And so it makes sense that you are aware of some of this risk and you're scared of it. Now, the thing that you don't want to do is for the fear to supersede actually the beauty that comes on the other side of making the move. So taking the time to reframe it and really kind of thinking about it in terms of, how you would be helpful to a friend is a good way to reframe your self-doubt. The second thing I would say to help build your confidence is to tap into your brag bag. And if you don't have one already, a brag bag is where you put together all of the positive feedback that you've gotten over the years, both small and big. So this could be when somebody said, comments on your presentational skills and says, oh my gosh, you did an amazing job there for XYZ reason. If you've gotten really good feedback on different aspects of your work, you want to put all of those things together. For a lot of people who are really accomplished and driven, you'd be surprised at how many people don't really pause to take in and reflect upon all their accomplishments. They're always moving on to the next thing. But it really has taking the time to do this really has a material impact on your level of confidence. So you definitely want to dip into that brag bag and remind yourself about how amazing you are and all the beautiful things that you've accomplished and how you've overcome so much to accomplish those things. And if you've done it once before, you could do it several times over. And then the third thing I would say to overcoming this fear and confidence is to take small steps, right? So, if you think about it as being a muscle that you want to train over time, taking small continuous steps, small consistent steps could actually take you further than trying to make a giant leap. So maybe the answer isn't that you completely quit your job and put yourself in financial dire straits if you're not prepared for it. Maybe it's that you commit one evening a week towards working on what your next thing is going to be. So you find that through doing that, through showing yourself you can do it, through encountering small step backs and overcoming them, you're able to build your confidence. And also, I think that just taking action means that you're gaining in confidence and you're developing your confidence as time kind of goes on. The key thing to do here is to set yourself small, realistic goals that stretch you out of your comfort zone, but don't completely sort of overwhelm you, because obviously the outcome of that is that you completely retreat and decide not to make any change. So you want to set small, realistic goals. You also, don't want to go on this journey by yourself. One of the best things I did for myself when it came to things like starting a podcast and all the other things that I wanted to do was ensuring that I put myself in a community of people who had similar goals. And by doing that, you get a lot of support, you get a lot of tips. You see that other people who are able to make the sort of changes or take the kind of steps you're interested in taking, they don't have two heads, and they're just doing it and they're moving forward despite all of the fear and uncertainty that they have as well. And I find that being in that sort of an environment really is encouraging and ensures that you can basically, get support, get the confidence you need and take small steps forward. And, the other thing I'd say is celebrate your progress. This isn't about perfection. This is about making progress, about, like I said earlier, one evening a week, committing to a short-term, small, realistic goal and accomplishing that goal and celebrating the win that comes from that. Not everything you do is going to be perfect. Not everything you do next is going to be at the level of expertise that you've become accustomed to. Be prepared to be a learner, be prepared to do things that aren't necessarily perfect, but it moves you in the right direction. And I think that if you are trying all of these things and you still find that you're not moving at the pace that you would like or in the direction that you would like, then, you could always get additional support, right? If you've heard me before, you've heard that I'm an advocate of getting experts to sort of help unlock you, whether that is a therapist, if you feel that you need to work on, deeper issues from your past, or a coach, if you feel that you just need someone outside of your day-to-day circle who can really help provide the space for you to design the life that you want in the future. So I hope all of that helps. Do let me know if you have any ideas for next week's episodes, and look forward to catching you next time. Bye-bye.